A little pop there.
So you can run Molle all the way to the tip of your if you wanted to. Because these ones, and I'm not doing anything sus here, it requires you.
Welcome back, fire team, to Shift Fire, the exploration and appreciation of military culture. I am Israel Wright, one of your hosts. I'm a former Green Beret. It's good to be back, folks. And with me, as always, the very knowledgeable.
Thank you for that, Israel. What's going on, fire team? Cameron Fath here, former Army Ranger, and today you are tuned in to an episode of War Wallet, the segment where Israel and I compare the same piece of equipment just listed at different price levels. And today's episode is all gonna be about Molle belts. Molle belts. They've come a long way since their creation.
Yes.
We've seen the webbing belts. We've moved on to the more traditional, what you see nowadays, Molle. And we have a couple different belt types that we're gonna talk about today that, you know, might meet your budget if you're interested in picking up a type of belt similar to these. But before we dive in, make sure you're subscribed to the channel so you can stay up on the latest and greatest from all things Shift Fire. And also, check out the link below to our awesome Shift Fire merchandise. Shirts are a limited time, so don't hesitate. Act quick, get yours now. You ready to talk about belts?
Yeah, let's bring up the first one, man.
So the first belt featured is going to be the Vismix Molle belt. Now, the reason I picked this one, it was $42 on Amazon, and it came with like everything you see on a modern day Molle belt, as far as what I would expect to see on a Molle belt.
Right, but for 42 bucks.
But for 42 bucks. So nowadays, Molle belts have evolved from probably what you're used to, just a big old Molle webbing with some padding on the inside and suspenders, right?
Right, big and bulky.
Big and bulky, but nowadays, so to correct that problem of, you know, these big bulky belts, they've pretty much 1 3/4, 1.75 inches for belt width. It has become almost the industry standard. And then as well as a Velcro system, outer belt system.
This is new, because when I was in, you had the belt that held up your pants, and then you just had a gear belt that you would put on over it.
Right?
Yeah, and you just have to strap it on. Hopefully it didn't fall off. But I love the new inner.
Feel like pressure points, right?
Little parts would be digging into your hips.
And everything.
All
so
over. Yep.
I started seeing these come out when I was towards the end of my time in regiment, and I was like, whoa, those are pretty cool, because you start with your inner belt, which has primarily soft side Velcro on it, and not only does it hold your pants up, it acts as a mounting platform for your outer belt, which just Velcro straight on
so cool.
onto your pants. So now it eliminates, when you're running, the whole bouncing up and down thing. It eliminates the need for suspenders. It's way more comfortable, and there's less material that you have to worry about rubbing and jumping around. So these are the newer belts. The Cobra buckles made by Austria Alpine. They've kind of become an industry standard for buckles, but this one doesn't seem to be a true
Austria Alpine-ish. These loops right here, pretty chunky, pretty big loops. It looks like they just stacked fabric on fabric.
Yeah, man.
You know,
It's and not to mention, the whole point of like a Molle belt is you want something rigid to attach your pouches to keep them in place. Now, looking at these, the way they sew it, I don't know if you can see that on the camera, but they actually come off of your first layer. There's a lot of room between that Molle and the layer there. Over time, just like anything, gear wears out. They even sewn in a loop here, but I wouldn't trust this. I
feel like that might just rip off and go just down the line. You know?
I mean, it's like there's 2 layers of thread holding it up. No, I can't break it, but
it's all right. You're only one man.
I know. I mean, I just.
You did kind of stretch the sewing thread in there a little bit. A little pop there.
Yeah, a little pop, but yeah, I wouldn't trust that on a rigid thing. It also came with a anti-slip pad, so if you wanted to not use an inner belt, like say you didn't want to tuck in your shirt, because that's the one thing with these, if you're gonna wear them, you have to tuck in your shirt, otherwise your shirt will come out. If you just want to wear it on top of it, you can Velcro this.
Kind of old school style like I was. I already have a belt on. I just want to put it on top.
Exactly. You just have now an anti-slip pad on the inside, so you could wear it over your clothing if you chose to do it. Like I said, if you're an airsofter, you're just getting into like the belt setting and you're on a budget, I don't think you can beat this belt for $42. Moving on to the mid-range belts, we have the 511 Tactical Maverick belt.
Now this is a recognizable name. 511
511
very well known.
is a very well-known brand that, you know, they make everything. Plate carriers, tactical equipment, apparel, shoes. I'm pretty sure they even like knives and multi-tools.
See what I mean? They're a
jack of all trades, master of none. It's oftentimes better than a master of one. All right, well, moving along to the belt, a legit Cobra buckle. You can actually see it says, you know, Austrialpine.
Oh, okay, there you go.
So a
Cobra.
Yep, an actual Cobra, utilizing the same inner belt, outer belt. Like I said, this is a new standard within the new Molle belts. Something that puts this belt apart that from the others, they started laser cutting their inserts and their nylon webbing for Molle. It's gonna save you weight, it's gonna save you material, just because if you wanna put Molle on here, you know, you have to put on another layer. So a lot of these belts are 3-layer systems here because, you know, you have your 2 initial layers and then you have the layer of the Molle. The more layers you add onto a belt, the more weight, the more bulk you put on, the more rigid it makes it. So laser cutting is really cool because you legit just put Molle into an existing material. You don't have to add another layer. Most of these belts, it's standard 1 3/4 inch for thickness. I also enjoy the fact that the adjustment is internal. And
you don't have a little flappy on the outside.
Yeah, and it's a little easier to make it skinnier for my skinny guys or make it wider for my wider guys. And it's internal, so you don't have to worry about the flap coming over and blocking Molle space. You can run Molle all the way to the tip of your if you wanted to. The inner belt seems solid too. It's a little bulky, but you know, it seems pretty standard across the board as far as other belts that I've seen, just as far as thickness. But this belt is priced about $145.
Okay.
I use those buckles in regiment. I know I had 2 on my kit for quick release, and then on my personal belt, which I think I'm gonna show you now. So,
511 Tactical.
511, $145, moving on. What we have here is the Ronin Senshi belt. You know, I actually really like this belt. I've had it for a long time. It's a little bit more expensive than, say, the 511. This belt specifically is about 180 to 190, depending on multicam or base colors.
Okay.
And the reason being for that is it's got black threading on it instead of standard. So. And then you also have an added D-ring. So if you're in the military and you do any type of operation inside of a helicopter or a aircraft or bird, you can attach a retention lanyard or like the type to clip into the bird so you don't fall out in case something happens. You got that option there. I'm pretty sure the tensile strength of this multicam belt is about 5,000 pounds.
Hey.
But this is like, you know, a standard belt. To the 511, I would say these perform the same. You know, it's a 3-layer belt. It comes standard with 2-inch inner belt, actually, that I'm wearing right now.
You happen to be wearing, there
exactly. You go. And then the outer belt is standard 1 3/4 inch. The only thing is the Molle is very rigid. Getting pouches in there, it requires a multi-tool. And the adjustments are on the outside, which has pros and cons because the 511 adjusted on the inside.
Right.
So adjusting on the outside means obviously you're going to take up potential Molle space because you need to stow your cordage, or you can cut it depending on if you have. So on the outside, that's a cool one. You don't technically need to take the entire thing off to adjust it, which that's the problem with internals, but you're gaining Molle like on the 511. But on this, you're losing a little bit of Molle, but you're gaining a little easier adjustments by not having to take off the belt. Like as far as a standard mid-range belt, I have no complaints with the Ronin belts. I think they're great. They've lasted me a long time. I've put this thing through, you know, I've crawled through the dirt with it. I've ran with it. It's never given me a problem.
I have like kind of a mid-range belt as well, and this is the Blue Alpha Molle belt. It's 1 3/4 inch outer belt, and then it's got a 1 1/2 inch inner belt. The belt itself starts at around 140, and you can actually go up to around 170, depending on whether or not you want to add this D-ring.
So very similar to the Ronin belts.
Yep,
right?
very similar to the Ronin belts, and then you get a smaller inner belt, the low profile belt, add a little bit more, so about 170 or so.
I see.
And then, so I have a couple pistol mag pouches here, 5.56 pouch. I got a tactical tail. This is kind of my poor man's IFAC starter IFAC.
IFAC.
Yeah, there you go. Okay. And then my holster here on the side.
Well, I mean, looking at this, you know, I'm comparing it to my Ronin belt. Everything's the same, except for the thickness of your Molle loops here.
Yep.
The Ronin belt is much thicker.
Yeah.
So this one seemed a little easier to, you know, put through.
Adjustable,
and adjust. Well, I lose rigidness for mounting stuff.
And
I don't know.
That's what you want, or
no,
you don't want?
I don't want my Molle belt to become more elastic on the Molle itself, because the pouches rely on that to keep it snug and fit, right? Obviously, when there's a curve in it, it's pulling. So that might just be a manufacturer strategy in order to, you know, take up a little less space.
Right.
Maybe make it a little lighter. I don't know. I like the low profile. So this probably is about an inch and a half.
Yeah, it's an inch and a half.
And
inner belt.
I think that's great because with the 2-inch inner belt that I have with my Ronin, it doesn't fit on every pair of pants I put it on.
Okay.
Actually, it's really tight, and I just bought a new pair of Cries, the Cry pants, the G3s. It's actually a challenge to put my 2-inch inner belt. So I think the thinner belt, like either 1 3/4 or 1 1/2, you can wear it, you know, if you're going to the movies.
Yeah,
you can,
just like a regular
just
belt.
like a regular guy belt.
And then if war breaks out, bam, I can just slap that belt on there.
Stuff on.
One last note about this thing for those curious, you can actually get this. This one is specifically found on warriorpoetsupplyco.com. So they make these custom to order. It takes about 2-3 weeks to get in normally. Thankfully, I had a friend that had a hookup, so
yeah,
he hooked me up with this one.
All right, man, moving right along to what we all want to see, and it's our expensive belt, right? I wouldn't really say expensive, but higher price.
Okay, higher price.
Higher price. So I went ahead and chose the GBRS Assaulter Belt System version 2. This belt is worth $255.
Wow.
Couple things definitely want to go over to why I believe that they price this belt the way it is. I'll start with the inner belt. The inner belt is very similar to the Low Pro, so it will be able to fit all your pants, and it's a 2-parter, which I appreciate. So when I say it is a 2-parter, it is because it comes with an outer shroud. So say one thing that I always notice when I'm wearing these belts is that it's just Velcro on the outside. Sometimes shirts get stuck to it, sometimes things get stuck to it, what have you. With this, if you just want to wear the inner belt every day, you have a shroud that will cover the Velcro and give you a little cushion.
That's very thoughtful.
It's very thoughtful, so that was cool. I also appreciate the fact that the way their inner belt is designed is just a friction adapter, because these ones, and I'm not doing anything sus here, it requires you to Velcro over top, and like sometimes you don't get it quite right, or sometimes you do it like that.
Loop,
yeah, you have to go over top, and my loops are pretty close here, so I don't have a lot of room to.
Yeah, that's how the inner belt for mine is. You got to adjust it, Velcro it, and then kind of push it into place. You know?
Yeah, exactly. So with this, it comes through, and I can actually cover the belt loops instead of like trying to sandwich them on top of each other. I just go over, and if there's any belt loops going through my pants, I just cover them, and now I don't have to worry about belt loops, and it's super easy to adjust. The only thing with these is they are very flimsy. They are very flimsy, lightweight.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to seeing the durability of the inner belts and how well the Velcro holds up.
Yep.
But that's just considering the inner belt. So the outer belt.
Right away, you can see very visual differences.
Very visual differences, and you probably were like, "Why is there carbon fiber?"
Yes, that was it. The carbon fiber loops. Yeah.
Okay, so not carbon fiber, thermopolymer. So patent pending. It's a very rigid. You know, it's malleable, but it's tough as nails, right? So that was the first thing I noticed off the bat too. And this belt system is actually a 2-layer belt system. So all the other belt systems that we have looked at, the Molle belts, are all 3 layers. They have 2 initial layers and then Molle overtopping, making them 3-layer belts, right? So you're saving weight on the belt, you're making the belt smaller, closer to the body, which is most likely gonna end up with you having a more comfortable belt. Same features though as a lot of other belts. You got the Austria Alpine Cobra belt.
Corner of the market on those buckles, man.
The Cobra buckle, external adjustments on the outside. I did find it very hard to adjust this belt.
Yeah, you think that this, what is it, thermopolymer?
It's not necessarily the thermopolymer because the thermopolymer doesn't go through the friction adapter of the Cobra buckle, but the first layer, since it is a 1-layer belt, is generically very thick.
Okay.
Just because, you know, usually you put 2 smaller ones together to get a durable piece of fabric.
Yeah.
So this one has some girth to it. Once you get this through, you're able to cut it because they have different levels to measure yourself, so that way your tail's not like out here and you're doing this giant, you know, bundle when you're stowing it up that it's like this big. So you can cut it once you size it to yourself to save a little bit of room, and then this tucks away like that, and they give you all the stuff for it. So I thought that was nice. But other than the thermopolymer and the Cobra buckles and the inner belt, it's very similar to the other ones.
Right, just a few key feature differences, which would probably explain the higher price.
Yes. Well, Fire Team, that is all the time we have for this episode of War Wallet. We hope you guys learned something. We hope we gave you some perspectives on a couple different belts that are in the market for you to purchase for either going to the range or conducting military operations or law enforcement operations. We hope this video gave you a little bit of perspective on what belt is going to be best for you.
Folks, if you like this video, please subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell so you can stay up to date on all the latest and greatest with Shift Fire. Hit that like button, and please leave many comments down in the comments section letting us know what you thought about this video, the belts that we featured, what other belts are out there that we might feature in future episodes, and yeah, other products that you think we should take a look at here at Shift Fire. Until next time, team, stay safe, stay awesome.
Like knives and multi-tools.
See what I mean? They're a
jack of all trades, master of none. Oftentimes better than a master of one. That's the entire saying, just in case you don't know.
Really?
But yeah, you didn't know that?
I didn't know there was more to the saying.
Yeah, jack of all trade, master of none is oftentimes better than a master of one. That's the entire thing.
That's the entire saying.
Yes.
Man, I'm learning so much today, folks.